Okay, welcome to this next video in the algebra series, and this one's going to be looking at simplifying expressions using addition and subtraction. So we've already looked at expressions and things, what they mean, how we can evaluate them, what it means to substitute, but now we're going to look at how we can sort of modify them again without necessarily evaluating them by simplifying them, okay? Now, your learning goal for this one is that students connect the laws and properties for numbers to algebra. And at the end of this, you'll be able to identify like and unlike terms in an expression and simplify expressions using addition and subtraction. Okay, so this might terrify some of you, but it wasn't that long ago. But remember common and uncommon fractions. Now, I did say they're never going to leave, and the ideas behind them are always going to kind of crop up, and here it is kind of again. So remember with uncommon and common fractions, if we had something like 2/3 plus a half, we couldn't carry that out yet because our denominators were not common. There was a 3 and a 2. We had to create common fractions before we were allowed to do anything with that, okay? And so we would have created here 4/6 plus 3/6, okay? And then now that they got the same denominator, only then are we allowed to add them together, okay? Because remember, by having the same denominator, it's like saying this is the same type of fraction, there's just more or less of it, okay? So remember, this 4/6 means 4 lots of the 6th, okay? So that means 4 and 3, we get our 7/6, okay? So that idea that we can only add and subtract common fractions, that same thing applies here in algebra that you'll see in a moment. Okay, so a couple of key ideas for us before we sort of get kicking straight into it. It shouldn't be a long video, but please pay attention because this is really one of the more important ideas for you at beginning at this level of your algebra, okay? So this idea of things called like terms, that's an important concept, contain exactly the same variables, okay? For example, 4x is a like term with 25x, okay, because they both have just an x, okay, but, so I might write like, they're like terms, so 3x and 4x squared, they are not like, okay, because this one's got an x, whereas this one has an x squared, which is the same as xx, okay, x times x. So they have to have exactly the same letters in them to be like terms. Super duper important. Even if it is 11x squared y cubed z to the power of -1, that's a like term with square root of 2 times x squared y cubed z to the power of -1. They are like because they have exactly the same letters with exactly the same powers and everything, okay? Super, super important, okay? Right, we can simplify an expression by doing this thing called collecting like terms. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I would like you to do this, how I recommend is a good way of going about it, okay? Let's embiggen this. Okay, so here I've got x plus 4y plus 6x plus 3, and we're going to collect these by collecting like terms. Now, we're only allowed to add and subtract like terms, all right? Unlike terms, no go, all right? So, what I suggest that you do is by either using colors or different shapes that you sort of mark out the different terms. Actually, I'm going to make this even bigger so I can work with it a bit more. Let's go for 30. There we go, it's nice and large. All right, so x, 4y, 6x, and 3. There are 4 terms here, okay? Now, I'm going to put a box around my terms that have an x in it. All right, here's another one, 6x. Now I'm also going to put a box around the operator in front of it. Okay, you'll see why in a moment. All right, now That's all of the ones with just x done. So now we've got a 4y. I'm going to circle the one with a y in it, and all I'm left with is this plus 3. Let's put that in a triangle. Okay? Now, I know this might seem a bit silly, but it means that if you go about it this way, you can only combine the squares with the squares and the circles with the circles and triangles and triangles. Kind of makes sense. Okay? So, what we can do is a good second step is to sort of rearrange them so they're all next to each other. Alright, so I'm allowed to move this plus 6x wherever I want, as long as the plus stays with the front of it there. So I'm going to move it next to the x at the front. So I'm going to have x plus 6x plus 4y plus 3. Okay? Right. Now that I've sort of like grouped that all together, I've got my different things. They're all sitting next to each other now, so it's a lot easier to understand what's going on. Now, the x and the 6x, right, they're the same. If I have one lot of x and add on another 6 lots of x, I have one, I'm putting another 6 lots of x together, I'm going to have 7 lots of x, okay? Plus my 4 y's, plus my 3, okay? Now, we are now done, okay? We cannot go any further, okay? This is going to be a big thing for you to maybe do a paradigm shift in your mind that you're not allowed to go any further than this now, okay? No, there are no more like terms here. That's an x, that's a y. We can't just chuck them together, okay? Everything in your heart will want you to, because you look at that and you will think it's not finished. But let me tell you, it's finished and you can't do anything more with it, okay? So please, as I said before, the number one thing to do with this algebra stuff is just practice, 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 practice. Get those tools going, get the brain juices moving, and you'll be able to smash it out. Okay? Alright, let's have a look at some worked examples so we can see some of the stuff that you'll have to do. Okay, so simplify the following expressions. So, I might just embiggen all these at once. What did we say before? 30 was a good one. Let's make them all 30. Alright. So I've got here 4y plus 7y. Okay. So as I said before, let's circle, or let's box up everything that's the same. Well, it's all y's here. So if I have 4 lots of y and I added another 7 lots of y, I'm going to end up with 4 plus 7y, which is 11y. Okay. Right. Let's move down here. Next, 8a plus 4 minus 3a. Okay, so let's box these up. There's something with an A. This next one doesn't have anything, so I'm going to give it a circle. Here's another one with an A. Okay, let's rearrange this stuff so we can sort of work with it easier. 8a, move this other A with it, minus 3a, plus 4. Right, here this time I've got a subtraction. If I have 8 lots of A and I take away 3 lots of A, had 8, take away 3, I'm left with 5 lots of A plus 4. And again, we are done. Okay, because 5a and 4 are not like terms. We cannot go any further. Alright, another one here, 4x plus 3y. Let's do our little boxing, box up our x's. Box our x, and we're going to circle our y's. Right, so let's put our boxes together. I'm going to show you we don't need to do that step we've done before. Okay, 4x minus 9x. Okay, we're going to skip that first step I did earlier. So 4 minus 9 is negative 5x. Okay, so this minus is at the front here now. Plus 3y plus 2y. Plus 3 plus 2 is plus 5y. Okay, 5x, negative 5x plus 5y. You could rewrite this as 5y minus 5x, just to be a bit neater, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, last one here. Looks a bit dangerous, but I promise you it won't hurt. Let's circle everything and square it up. So here we go, 6ab. Now here's a tricky one. This is AB and this is A. They're not like terms because they have to have exactly the same letters. Alright, so this one here is though, that's one's going to get boxed up, and we'll circle the other ones, minus 4a, up. That's a a number. It's all by itself. I'm going to put it in a triangle. Okay, so let's put our boxes together. 6 lots of AB plus another 3 lots of AB gives us 9 lots of AB. There's nothing else to go with this A term here, so minus 4A. No other numbers, going to minus 7, and we are done. Okay, now again, this is probably one of the more important fundamental lessons for you, and I'm sorry again that these videos are going a bit long, but I'm trying to communicate as much as I possibly can for you, okay, to just sort of like really iron out a lot of any of the issues that can come up that I've seen happen in the past. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in class. Thanks.